All right, so learning goal, the student will understand how to solve problems using the formula for area of a circle. We just watched a video on this slide about where that formula came from. And it should have made sense because yesterday we were doing circumference and you saw the circumference formula go in. Did you see how they said, here's the circumference formula? And that's used for area of a circle. Okay, so now you have three important formulas you have to remember. This is the third one that you're going to have to know. All right, so let's use that formula to find the area of a circle. So this says, find the area of a circle. They want you to use 3.14 for pi and round to the nearest hundredth as needed. Okay, so again, here's the new important formula we have to know. Area equals pi r squared. Okay, do we know the area? No, that's what we're trying to find, right? Okay, so area. Do we know what to put in for pi? 3.14. All right, do we know what to put in for r? Yes, we're supposed to put in 7. And what's this little 2 mean?
Squared.
Squared, or to the second power. Yes. Now we have to go back and think about order of operations, right? Should be writing that side. Order of operations says we do what first? And then exponent. So we see, remember when we first started, I said order of operations never goes away. So we have to go to exponent. So 7 squared is how much? 49. So now we have 3.14 times 49. And that's going to be my small calculator. Oh, no, not that. There we go. 3.14 times 49. I'm getting 153.86. Yeah, because that's not what I wanted. All right, 153.86, and it told me to round to the nearest hundredth. So if I rounded to the nearest hundredth, what was our place values from yesterday? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So I am in the hundredths with 8/6. And does anybody know what my units would be? Because units is going to change here a little bit. Isabel? Sorry, what? You sure? Feet squared, okay? Because do you guys understand that literally we are talking about how many squares goes in that circle? So if you would take this and block it off into squares like this, it is saying that there are 153.86 squares inside of that. That's why it's feet squared. Okay, questions on that one before we keep going? Did that seem that bad? No? Okay. All right, let's try the next one. It said round to the nearest hundredth. Aren't we in, this is tenths? Hundredths. So we didn't have to do anything to that one. All right, next one. Find the area of a circle, use 3.14 for pi. This one wants us to round to the nearest hundredth, again, as needed. So everyone's going to start with your formula. So A equals pi r squared. And then I'm going to fill in everything I know. Do I know what A is? Nope, that's what I'm trying to find. So I'm going to leave the A alone. I have equals. Do I know what to put in for pi? Yep, because it told me. Do I know what to put in for r? You're just going to cut to the chase. Just yell out what it is. Okay, yeah, 106 is the diameter, so I need the radius. So you have to take this divided by 2 to make it 53, because you can only put in the radius. Okay? Can you what? Oh, well, you want to try that and see? Okay, try that on your calculator and see if you think it's the same thing. All right, so now let's grab the calculator. I do not know what 53 squared is in my head, so 53. Oh, you're good. 2,809. Well, but you know what? Anytime you have that question, just try it and see. I mean, that's what I do sometimes. Because the way you were thinking is you were thinking times 2 instead of times itself. All right, and then after this, we just need to multiply the 2 together, right? Okay, so I'm going to take that times 3.14, and I get 8,820.26. This says round to the nearest hundredth. Am I in the hundredths? I am. What would my units be? Yards squared. Yes. Yep, yards squared. Okay. Yes. On the test, how would I what? Well, a lot of times they'll put the units with it, or they'll give you answer choices. But there is an exponent button on there. You know that little, like I'm looking at, here's the screen, and then it's got some extra buttons here. They're usually in there. All right, let's keep going. All right, what is the area with the circle with a radius of 3.2? Leave your answers in terms of pi. So everything up to this point has been what type of answer? Exact. Everything's been an estimate up to this point, right? Because it's had 3.14. This is the exact because they want you to leave it in terms of pi. Okay, so we're still going to start with our formula. A equals pi r squared. Do we know what A is? No. Do we know what pi is? What am I supposed to put there? Just pi, right? Because they want me to use it exactly. So I'm going to leave pi. Do I know what r is? Yes. 3.2, good. And then I know I need to square it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my calculator and do 3.2 times 3.2, and I get 10.24. So now I have pi times 10.24. Is that the correct way to write it? No. What do I need to do? I need to combine them so there's no multiplication sign. And what else? I could add the measurements. Is that the correct order? Very good. The 10.24 needs to be first. Why? It is like, you know how when we do our algebra stuff and we write 3x? We don't write x3. It's the same kind of thing. Yep. All right, and that's it, right? Because that is the exact answer. If it says exact answer in terms of pi, you leave pi in there. Kendall.
22 over 7, or 22 over 7, if you divide those two numbers, it gets pi. So why can't you just do that times that answer that we just got?
Okay, 22 sevenths is not exactly pi. I can show you. So 22 divided by 7 is actually 3.1428. Calculator. How do I get it to a scientific one?
You hit view.
View? Scientific. And is there pi? Pi? There we go. See the difference? 3.1415, 3.1428. They are, 22 over 7 is the closest thing we can get to pi. Because remember, pi is irrational. And if it's irrational, it means it can't be written as a fraction. So that's our closest estimate. Yeah. All right, so view, back to standard. Okay, very good. All right, I think I'd like you to try this one on your own, and let's see if you can do it. Good. Squared. Okay. Did you put anything in for A? No? What did you put in for pi? Okay, so we're just going to put in the pi. All right, what did you put in for R? 134 squared. Well, it'd be way more than that because it'd be 134. Yeah, times 134. Yeah, big number, right? All right, and I'm going to go ahead and take that number and put it first. So 17,956 pi, because it told us to leave it in terms of pi, so I don't actually have to multiply it. Okay? Does that make sense? Have you guys heard of an epicenter before? You talked about earthquakes?
Yeah.
You haven't heard of epicenter? Who can explain what an epicenter is?
Didn't know, send out the signal if there's a
else?
Is it kind of like the ever hurricane?
That's a good way to think of it. The most powerful point, yeah, it's actually where the shaking originates from. But what happens is when you have that shaking here, there's a ripple effect. Have you ever thrown like a stone into water? And it does, that's exactly what it does. It ripples out across the land instead of water. So whenever you hear epicenter on the news, that's going to be the worst damage. That's the most concentrated area, and then everybody else gets it too. Okay? All right. Now, this one, I had no idea this was true. So I actually went and found some pictures online of what this was, because in Digits it just said bubble netting. And I was like, what is bubble netting? So I Googled it. It's a technique used by humpback whales. They blow bubbles in a circular ring that drives fish towards the center of the circle. And I was like, what is that? So I found this thing. It says working together. And you see that these humpback whales actually form these formations. And then I found an actual picture of it that somebody took from up in the sky, and I was like, there it is. So it's like they pool together, they get all the fish together, then they go eat. I was like, that's kind of cool. All right. Okay, what do you think we do here? We're going to find the area of the ring of bubbles if it's 100 feet wide. Okay, tell me what to do. Do I know the area? No. What am I supposed to put in for pi?
3.14.
Yes, this question says put in 3.14, so I put in 3.14. Do I know the radius?
100. Oh, that's the diameter.
That's the diameter, because it says a ring of bubbles 100 feet wide. 50, so I have to put in 50, good. And then I square it. Okay, so I'm going to do 50 squared first, which we should already know what that is in our head, right? Because 5 times 5 is 25, and tack on 2 zeros. So 2,500 times 3.14, and that gives me area of 7,850 feet. Think how much that is. 7,850 feet. A typical house, probably around 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. So imagine if you took your house and almost had to make 4 of them. That's how big their circle is. And that's actually if you have 2 layers of your house, so you have to split your house. So it might even be more. 7,000 feet is quite a bit, but they are huge whales. Okay? All right, you guys have an assignment.